Always great having my next guest on the show. It's Dalton Rasta, who's got another big fight this time, August the 11th at Bellator 298, when he takes on Aaron Jeffrey. Dalton, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited to have you back. I can't wait for this fight, you and Aaron. This is going to be an absolute banger. The last time I did speak to you was right after your last performance, another big win. We've already dissected that and talked about that a little bit, but I just wanted to start with asking, this is the second fight in a row now where you've had such a long layoff, and I know you want to stay active. This is you're right in the prime of your career. How frustrating is that?
Very frustrating. But I was supposed to fight in April. There was a little bit of matchmaking issues. They tried making fights with like three different people. We couldn't make any of them happen, and that's kind of what happened, and that's why I'm off this long and I'm not fighting until August. However, I was trying to get on the June 16th card. They said it was full, and then they assured me I'd be on in July. July ended up being an overseas card versus Verizon. So I almost said Verizon, but yeah. So there really wasn't much left except for this card. So because of the June 16th card being full, this was all that was left after that. It is a little frustrating, but they're having less shows this year. Don't know why, and they got a lot of fighters to get fights. So it is what it is. But I plan on getting another one by the end of the year, as long as they're willing to make that happen.
And do you think just with the position that you're in, there's a handful of ATT guys right at the top of the division, so that makes things a little bit trickier as to who wants to fight who. But do you feel like you're one of those guys that people are a little bit more apprehensive to say yes to?
Listen, man, I don't know. I would like to think I would like to say I think so, but who knows at the end of the day? There could be a whole series of issues going on. Maybe some people are hurt. Uh, maybe they want more money. I mean, maybe their coaches don't want it. Maybe their manager's not for it. Maybe there's a matchmaking issue with Bellator. Maybe they don't got the cards. There's so much shit that goes into it. And at the end of the day, I'd love to say that a lot of guys are scared to fight me, which they very may well be, but or very well may be. But like I said, there's a lot of moving parts. So who knows?
I wanted to ask you about Ryan Shazier. I was fortunate enough to get to, meet you and him in person after the last fight. Super, super nice guy, man. How did that friendship originate? I'm not sure you actually told me the story, and just how's he doing now?
So back in, I want to say 2020, maybe 2019. I think it was 2020. Uh, Simon Arias, one of my sponsors, Arias Agencies, they have a fundraiser event. And at the time, I believe it was for Inspiring Minds, but they were making Steel City Impact, was a charity fundraiser foundation for the youth in the Pittsburgh area. And he was there. It was a cigar bar event, and they had a bunch of different celebrities and stuff there. They had a couple of different football players, former Steelers, some of them being Ryan Shazier, and we got to talking there. And he was like, he knew I was a fighter, and he came up to me and we just started, you know, cutting it up about fighting. Started talking a little bit about football, and then we started talking about Call of Duty. I don't know how we got on the topic of that, but we did. And later that night, we ended up playing the game together. So we exchanged information, played the game together, kept playing the game together, and it just, evolved a little bit from there. So went over his house a few times. He gave me a signed jersey. I wore it out to my fight. Went over to his fight or house a few times to watch some fights, and he's in the circle that I'm kind of in back home with a few of my sponsors, a few of the people I network with. He's also involved with those people as well. So it was kind of like mutual friends that brought us together, and then like I said, it just evolved from there.
Yeah, that's very cool. And obviously, everyone knows, what happened with him on the football field. And can you just give me an update as to where he's at right now? His health, he seems to be in really good spirits and doing very good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he didn't make a full recovery because he'd probably be playing football if he did. But I think he has good days and bad days. I can't speak to the severity of that or the degree, but he seems to be doing very well, especially because they said he wasn't going to walk and he's made huge strides, and he's been giving back to the community in that respect too. People that have had neck injuries, like there's a kid at my high school that I graduated from, Laurel High School, Hayden Hamilton, that had a neck injury playing football as well. And Shazier's been very involved in his recovery since then. And he's created his own foundation to help with people like that, help with injuries like that. And, just a great guy.
Do you know the name of his foundation off the top of your head?
I don't off the top of my head.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to give a shout out to that. Once I post this interview and everything, very good thing and very inspiring individual. That's so cool that you developed that friendship with him. So I wanted to address that. Since we're on the football topic too, Dalton, you like football a little bit, right? You're a football fan. So, yeah. So the NFL season is around the corner. I got to talk a little bit of football with you. How are the Steelers going to be this year, and what do you think we're going to see in this upcoming football season? Who's your ultimate Super Bowl pick?
I think the Steelers' success is just dependent on Kenny Pickett. They built a team around him. They signed some free agents on the offensive line, drafted some, got a big tight end, huge tight end. We got a good 1-2 punch at running back. Our defense is always good, but last season they were on the field too much. They got tired, and some of those stats that against our defense are a little padded. If you actually watch football and you're not just reading the stat line, that our defense is very good, especially when TJ Watt's on the field. We got Minkah Fitzpatrick. Our linebacker, I don't know why we cut Miles Jack, but our linebacker core is evolving and developing, and we drafted a linebacker as well. So I think the defensive side of the ball will be solid. Offensive side of the ball, we've created a team around Kenny Pickett. So I think it's just going to be dependent on how he performs. We got Deontay Johnson needs to stop dropping balls. And we got George Pickens on the other end, who's a phenomenal receiver. He showed moments of greatness last year in his rookie season. So I think he's going to be a big key going forward. I think Pat Freiermuth is going to be a big key going forward, and then developing the run game. So my big concern is Matt Canada still. And I do have a slight concern for Kenny Pickett as well. But I think those concerns will be answered this season, whether they're good or bad. We'll go from there. As for my Super Bowl picks, I think I would love to see the Steelers in the Super Bowl, but like I said, I can't make that call. That's something that I'd like to revisit, halfway through the season. But, front runner as of now, I'd say Kansas City Chiefs. I don't see anybody beating them, man. Pat Mahomes so good. Travis Kelce so good. Just solid team, solid coaching. On the other side, I mean, there's so many teams in NFC that can, just pop up out of nowhere and make it. Like the Rams, for example, 2 years ago, they came out of nowhere. And I would say a front runner would probably be 49ers again.
Mm-hmm. Philly's going to be right there, right?
Yeah, Philly in the 49ers. I think both of them. But my early pick, like I said, we could revisit this halfway through the season, and then I'll make a more accurate prediction. But my front running pick is going to be Kansas City Chiefs versus 49ers.
Okay, fair enough. That's a safe bet. I like both of those teams. Before we do transition here, I want to dive right into this fight and a lot of other things I want to get to with you. But when it's all said and done, how many championships will Patrick Mahomes win?
I think 7 at least. I think he's going to at least tie Tom Brady.
Okay. All right. You truly believe that? You think he's going to at least tie Brady? Because you know how much I love Brady. So I don't know if that's a little bit 7. Of a dig or.
That's a legitimate prediction. I think 7. I think he'll tie Brady. I don't think he'll beat it. I think he'll tie it.
Okay. All right. If he does, that'd be something special. My concern, if I was a Chiefs fan, is, once Kelce retires, that tight end position, what he adds to that team, he's one of the greatest tight ends that we've ever seen. And so at the end of the day, it's such a team game. I just wonder if he's going to have weapons a la Travis Kelce at that level,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very plausible that they win the next 3. I think it's a very plausible situation. And then with Pat Mahomes still being, on the younger end of his career, he's going to keep developing. And I see he's athletic. He doesn't get hit much. He takes care of his body. I could see him having a pretty long career too. So the back end of his career, get another couple. We'll see.
All right. Well, we'll definitely talk again before the end of the football season. That is for sure. Let's talk about this matchup, man. You're number 4 in the division. Aaron's number 6. Last time that I did speak with you, you were actually giving him some high praise. You were saying that he's a very, very good fighter. When you look at his record, he's got some signature wins. All of his losses are to high level opposition. But I saw a recent interview that you did, and you said he was mediocre. When you look at this matchup stylistically, do you feel like you're just going to be getting the better of him everywhere? Or do you think this could be one of your tougher fights?
Yeah, so I think my opinion changed a little bit because I watched some more film. Now, before we talked, I watched quite a bit of film, but it was in initial stages of it. I wasn't really, dissecting it that much. It was really just getting a feel for what he does. And the more I watch his film, the more I see he's very hittable. He leads with his head. His head's usually over his knees. He just has a high guard. He does all this little movement, but he's not really moving his head very much. He's hit or miss with his takedown defense. Sometimes it seems like he has good takedown defense. Other times it just seems like he can't stop getting taken down. So, I mean, really, it's just all about what Aaron Jeffrey shows up. It could be a very tough fight, if he shows up and he's ready to, bite down on his mouthpiece and just, have a fight. Could be a very tough fight, and that's what I'm expecting. But, you don't always get what you expect. Like I said, with the Romero Cotton fight, I was expecting him to at least, threaten some takedowns, put me on my butt, put me in some bad positions, battle through some adversity. But he wasn't the person to do that. I think whenever I get put in that position, I'm going to be a scary fighter. And if I don't know if Aaron Jeffrey's going to be the fighter to do that, but we'll see. Like I said, I'm preparing for a war. If I get a war, so be it. I'm ready. If not, I won't be surprised because, like I said, he's hit or miss. There's a blueprint to beat him. He's been beat 4 times, 3 times by a grappler, and there's no blueprint to beat me. I haven't even lost a round in fighting yet, amateur or professional career, boxing or MMA. So people can look at the fight tape and they can say, I could definitely beat this guy. They could have their coaches being yes men and saying, yeah, I think you could do this, you could do that. But it's different when that cage door closes and whenever it's just me and him in there. And I'm sure he'll have some confidence first round. I'm sure he'll come out hot, trying to fight hard, but we'll see how long that lasts. And he has a good gas tank, so it's not going to be any knock on that. It's going to be a knock on where he is mentally. You know what I mean? Whenever he gets hit with something big, whenever he realizes there's going to be a speed difference there, he's like, shit, I'm throwing a lot of stuff and it's not landing and I'm getting hit while I'm throwing. It's how much can he take? How durable is he? We'll see.
You literally took the words out of my mouth when you mentioned blueprint. My next question was, did John Salter's win over him kind of give you the safest blueprint to go in there and get your hand raised?
Yeah, I can. So at the end of the day, I can do what John Salter did, but that's not the type of fighter I am. Everybody knows that. I'm a lot more athletic. I'm a better striker. I'm a better overall fighter than John Salter is. But yeah, it's a pretty good blueprint to go off of if I needed to. Shit hits the fan. Yeah, but that's not what the game plan is. And I mean, you got Caio Borralho on the Contender Series. You got Brendan Allen on the Contender Series. And then you got Sean Brady, who's another grappler that beat him by a split decision, I believe. So he got 3 losses to grapplers, and Caio Borralho, I mean, you can argue he's a grappler, but he has some slick striking too, karate style, in and out, quick on his feet, good footwork. He has good striking too, and he exposed a lot of holes in Aaron Jeffrey's striking game as well. And like I said, Aaron Jeffrey's very, very hittable. So we'll see how many shots he can take.
Are you upset that John Salter retired?
Yeah, that's the fight I wanted, man. It made more sense. It's like I was supposed to get the winner of that fight. At least I thought I was. And then he retired, and now I'm getting the loser. Logistically, it doesn't really make sense, but, I'm here to fight. I'm here to make money. So if that's who they put in front of me, so be it.
Aaron also finished your teammate and friend, Austin Vanderver. Does that give you even more motivation to go in there and put him away?
No, I don't care about that. I'm not drawing any emotional connections with anybody with this fight. And this fight is just me and him. If it gets personal, it gets personal. To me, whenever I step in the cage, it's always personal, but I don't get emotional. I don't let my emotions get the best of me. I'm kind of just blank when I'm in there, I'm just focused on my opponent. I'm focused on what I'm doing to beat him. And I don't let emotions play a role. I don't get angry I don't get stressed out. I'm kind of just relaxed and in my zone in there. And whenever I'm like that, I don't think anybody could beat me.
How's camp been thus far?
Camp's been great. I've been sparring a lot with Johnny Evelyn, the champ. Sparred today with Mike Lombardo. I've been doing some sparring with him as well. He has very similar style, striking wise. You know, a lot of output, volume, likes to step forward a lot. So very similar in that respect, and just a little shorter. Johnny Evelyn was like 6'1", maybe a little short. I don't know how tall Jeffrey really is.
Six
He's
two.
listed at he's listed at 6'2". But Johnny's like 6'1", so that's more realistic height wise, but the style's a little bit different. Johnny fights a lot differently than Jeffrey did. So that was more for the cardio push, for output, for just getting good rounds in, you know, like, okay, I'm in a fight. When me and Johnny are sparring, we're fighting, you know. So those are what those rounds are good for. And then also sparring with Mike for more of a technical and game plan and style look. So it's been going good. Been doing a lot of I guess everything. You know, I've been doing a lot of striking with my striking coach. I've been doing a lot of grappling. Every grappling class we have, I've been doing. I've been doing every striking class we've been doing, or we have. Been doing a lot of running. Been doing lifting. You know, I'm doing a lot of things this camp that I didn't do before, and I feel great, man. Like I said, we're still 3.5 weeks out from the fight. My resting heart rate's at 37 already, which is usually what it's at like come fight time. So I'm like 3 weeks ahead of schedule. I'm gonna keep getting in better shape, and I mean, I'm gonna be scary come fight time, man.
I spoke to Grant Dawson fairly recently, and I said to him, I was like, it really seems like Mike Brown is one of the best coaches in the world. And he was real quick to stop me. And he said, no, 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 he's the best coach in the world. Can you kind of talk a little bit about what it's like working with Mike Brown?
Mike Brown's great, man. He's a student of the game. There's a lot of coaches out there that are set in their ways, and they like, you got to do it this way, or it's the highway, you know, or I'm not going to fucking coach you. Mike Brown, he's constantly learning new things himself and playing with them at practice, seeing if it works. He's grappling with a lot of the guys. I'll be drilling with Mike Brown. We'll be working on some technique and stuff, and he's drilling himself. Like, it's like he's done fighting, but he's continuously trying to become a better fighter himself, not just a coach. Like, he's in there drilling, like he's about to have a fight coming up too. So I mean, it just speaks volumes, because there's a lot of people that will talk and talk, but there's people that lead by example, and he leads by example. He stands by his work. He, like I said, he's constantly learning, he's analyzing, he's watching fights, seeing things that he could take away from certain fighters and use it during practice. And you know, it's worked out great for ATT so far.
And Mike Brown's in his 40s now, and it looks like he could still compete. Do you think that we'll see you fight once you get into your 40s, or is that something that once you get late 30s, you're going to be like, all right, I'm going to move on to something else?
Listen, man, everybody has a plan. I don't want to do this shit forever. Um, I always say I get hit a lot more at practice leading up to my fight than I actually do in the fight. The fights aren't the hard part. The hard part's the training. And at the end of the day, I want to be healthy. I want to live a long, healthy life. I want to be able to, when I have kids one day, I want to be able to enjoy shit, play with them, and fucking go and do shit with them and be an active adult. I don't want to be punch drunk. I don't want to be a gimp, you know, with all these injuries that I can't do normal shit that normal people do. So at the end of the day, it's just like, it's how my career plays out, because even when you're winning fights, you're still taking damage there. Even if you're the one inflicting the damage, you might be damaging your limbs, your elbows, your knees, your ankles, your shins, you know, and your body can only take so much punishment, even if you're the one dealing out the punishment. So it's like I said, it's one of those things where I'm playing it by ear almost.
Okay, fair enough. It's a good answer. Your teammate, the champion, Johnny Evelyn, takes on Fabian Edwards next, defending the title in September. Analyze that fight for me, if you don't mind.
Johnny has a really good gas tank, you know. Besides Danny Sabatello, I mean, I've never rolled with him. He's a lot smaller, but Johnny has probably the best gas tank out of anybody I've ever trained with. I can't speak for all the fighters in the world because I've never trained with all of them. I never fought every fighter. There's different weight classes, but for a 185 pounder, he has a really good gas tank, man. So whenever I'm training with him, you know, he's always stepping on the gas. And like I said, that's why it's good for me because he's always in my face, because there's some guys where like I'll land some shots and then they kind of cower away. Johnny's like, I land some shots and he's still in my face. He's like, okay, now I'm going to pay you back type of shit. So it always ends up being good sparring. He's always pushing me, always getting better going with him. And I just don't see how, don't get me wrong, Fabian Edwards has weapons. He's a long southpaw, like 78-inch reach, 6'1", so they're about the same height, but he has long reach. Southpaw, which can create problems for some fighters because you don't see southpaws much. Southpaws have an advantage over orthodox guys because they're always sparring with orthodox, and it's usually not the same for orthodox fighting with other southpaws. They're usually sparring with other orthodox guys. They're few and far between. So that may create a problem, it may not, but I don't see it creating a problem. And I see Johnny going in there and, putting a pace on him, putting pressure on him. It's 5 rounds, it's not 3 rounds. If it was 3 rounds, maybe Fabian could get in good enough shape to where he can keep it like his foot on the gas all 15 minutes. But 5 rounds, there's no way in hell he can do it. He's going to have to pace himself. And whenever he's trying to rest and Johnny's still coming forward and hitting him with shots and then shooting on him and taking him down, ground and pound him, and even if he gets up, he's getting hit again and taken down again and hit again. I just don't see it going well for Fabian Edwards. I think it's going to be a miserable night for him. I think if it goes to decision, Fabian Edwards is going to be pretty beat up at the end of the fight. And if there was going to be a finish, I think it's going to be Johnny early. There's just got to be wary of that rear head kick that Fabian Edwards loves throwing.
Looking forward to that fight again in September. Last time that we did speak to Dalton, you told me that the only 2 middleweights in the UFC that you feel like could give you a fight is the champ Adesanya and Robert Whitaker. Robert Whitaker, one of my all-time favorite fighters. I love Bobby Knuckles. I was surprised. I was shocked that he lost to Dricus du Plessis recently. What was your thoughts on that? And how good do you think du Plessis can be? Do you think he has a chance against Izzy?
Yeah, I think he has a chance if he takes him down. Izzy's a one-trick pony. I mean, we've seen even against, we saw it against John. We saw a little against Pereira, even though he took Pereira down. He doesn't have any grappling. He didn't do much against him there. So his grappling is the problem. If du Plessis can take him down, it'll be a long night for Izzy. However, du Plessis is, I'm not shocked about the Robert Whitaker result, not because of the skill level. I think Robert Whitaker is a more skilled fighter, but du Plessis is one of those awkward guys that just like his stance, the way he attacks, the way he comes forward, the way he throws shots from different angles, and he doesn't throw stuff correctly. It creates this awkwardness, unorthodox style that it's hard to read, hard to counter, hard to predict where he's going to be. And it causes problems for really good fighters. And sometimes it drags them down to their level. And you see it a lot. You see it from guys in the gym. You see it from guys in fights. And I think du Plessis is one of those guys. So I'm not surprised about that result. I don't think he's a better fighter than Whitaker. He just, has a style that presents problems for him. And that's kind of like, you could say that about a lot of people. Sean Strickland, for example, great fighter. But he always makes every fight a dogfight because he's that awkward style, like walking straight forward. It always seems like he's very far away though, like because he leans. He has his hands like this, but he like leans back away from all the punches. So if you come in, like he's barely moving his feet, but his head's going way back, might be more susceptible to takedowns that way. But in the realm of striking, it works for him, and he has good output. He has good boxing. And then the fact that he's harder to hit because of his awkward style creates problems for people. Like his last fight against that Russian, very good fighter. If you look at both of them technique-wise, Russian's probably a better fighter. But Sean Strickland just has that style, and he's just a dog. He'll make it a fight for anybody. You know what I mean? For anybody in the world. That's just my opinion. Some people might not share it. But there's guys like that. Du Plessis is one of those guys. We'll see how he does against Adesanya, though.
Man, I'd love to see you and Sean Strickland fight. How would that fight end? If that ever happens in the future, how would you and Sean Strickland end up?
Listen, I don't know. It depends if it's a 3 round fight or a 5 round fight. But like I said, Strickland, he's good, man. It's that awkward style. That's one of those fights that, like I said, Izzy would be a hard fight. Whitaker would be a hard fight. Sean Strickland's another fight where like it'd be a hard fight because he's a dog. He's gonna keep coming no matter what he hits you with, and he has that awkward style. So I don't know. That's a question mark. If I eventually ever go to the UFC, that'd probably be one of the fights that gets me out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, that would be really interesting, man. One other fight I wanted to get your take on before we transition back to 298. Jake Paul is going to be boxing Nate Diaz here right around the corner. Who do you see winning that fight? And if for whatever reason you were to box Jake Paul, would you knock him out?
I think Jake Paul is going to win the fight. Nate Diaz is going to make it gritty, and he's going to land some ugly stuff. He's going to make it an ugly fight, but I think Jake Paul is going to win. Now, for me fighting Jake Paul, I think for sure I would knock Jake Paul out just stylistically. He's not a bad boxer. There's a lot of people that are saying like, oh, he's a YouTuber. He's not a boxer. Every boxer started out somewhere. If you said that about every boxer, it's like, okay, this guy used to be a plumber and he's 5 fights into his pro career. And it's like, that guy's not a fucking pro boxer. He's a plumber that just tried to become a pro boxer. Everybody started out somewhere. So that little narrative is weird to me, but that's how social media works. Somebody creates a narrative like that and just gets running. He obviously puts the work in. He's training all the time. He's getting good training partners. He's getting good fights to level up his career. And everybody's like, oh, he's fighting MMA guys. But if you look at every boxer, you go look at their box rec, they all started fighting bums at first to build themselves up. And then they took a good tough fight. He's not doing anything different. He's just getting criticized because he's already under the spotlight. But yeah, for me and him, I think for sure I would knock him out. Stylistically, I think I'm a little bit too explosive for him. He showed that against Tommy Fury and against Anderson Silva, he gets tired when he tries to throw a lot of output. And in a boxing match, if you make somebody uncomfortable, you get them backing up a lot, and there's a lot of stress involved, they get tired even quicker. So I think that'd be a great fight for me, and I think it'd be an awesome one for him.
I love it. And I'm sure you wouldn't mind the money that would be coming your way if it ever did happen.
Definitely not.
All right, man. Aaron Jeffrey, we talked about him a little bit earlier in this interview, but you said, you looked at some more tape and, you're kind of going back a little bit saying, okay, the guy is better than mediocre. Is this the hardest fight of your career to date?
I don't think so. I think in the cage, he can make it like a hard fight. Like, okay, we're fighting, maybe like a street fight type of style fight. He can make it a fight like that. But if we're talking in terms of technique and skill, no, I don't think he is. Romero Cotton was a better wrestler. Tony Johnson was a better boxer. Anthony Adams and Ty Gorder were both better kickboxers. Ty Gorder was much more explosive than this kid. This kid's just high output, and he's decent everywhere. He's not great anywhere. He's good in a couple places. He has his like things that he's very good at. But I mean, the overall package, now there's so many things that I could take away from other fighters that did stuff a lot better than he does. So we'll see come fight night. It could be a tough fight, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be the toughest fighter that I fought so far.
How does this end? Do you finish him?
Yes, I think I finish him. So he's only been finished by submission. He got choked out by Brendan Allen. And yeah, I think that's the only time he's been finished, right?
Yeah, the other ones were UD. Let me just double check that. Pretty sure. I was just looking at it before. UD to Kai Barajo. Brendan Allen finished him. Yeah, that was it. It was just B. Allen.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So I did my research well then. Yeah. So he's only been finished by submission so far. I think I can knock him out. I have the power to knock him out. He's very hittable. He comes forward. I'm going to use that to my advantage. I'm not going to be the guy that's like, okay, we'll see who takes the first step back. This isn't a Michael Chandler and Justin Gaethje fight. I'm going to fight smart. And if I have to take a step back, I will. I'm a pressure fighter myself. I plan on backing him up. But if I take my step back, slip, bang a hook, I will. And I think, like I said, I'm going to use this forward pressure against him, use it to my advantage. And I think I could finish him. I think I hit him with a big shot, especially because he's going to be a willing dancing partner. He's going to be there to be hit. He's not going to be like Anthony Adams, where he's being evasive and eluding me the entire time. He's going to be coming forward sometimes throughout the fight. He's going to be there to hit. And I think I land a big shot. Maybe I land something big in the first round, rock him. Now he starts running a little bit. Maybe I get him out of there in the first round. Maybe not. Maybe I get him out in the second. But I do believe I know I'm in for a fight every single round. I know this kid's going to be coming to fight. He's not going to roll over. But I've had fights like that before. I've had training sessions like that before. I'm completely ready for it. And I honestly, if I hope that's what it comes to, because I'm excited for that.
Can't wait to see it, man. Last thing for me, Brennan Ward is on this card. He's fighting Logan Storley. Are we gonna see any drama leading up to fight night?
We that was always fun in games. Honestly, it was kind of like just jabbing back and forth at each other. But it's clear that Bellator doesn't want to make the fight, so there's no reason to keep doing it. I actually hit him up. I think we're gonna get some workouts in together while we're there for a little bit of weight cutting. So he's a cool dude. I wish Bellator would have made the fight. It would have been a fun fight for the fans, and we were having fun with it. We were jabbing back and forth, perfect build up for the fight. But I think Bellator dropped the ball a little bit there. So it's just forward from here, and I don't think they're going to make it going forward. So I don't think it makes sense. So it is what it is.
All right, man. Well, Dalton, as always, I really appreciate your time. Always great talking to you. One of the best interviews in the game. Again, August 11th, Bellator 298. Dalton Rasta, the number 4 ranked middleweight on the Bellator roster, takes on Aaron Jeffrey, number 6. Before we do sign off, man, anything you want to plug? Anyone you want to thank? The floor is yours.
Yeah, I just want to thank all my sponsors. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Dalton Rasta, and on Facebook at Dalton Rasta MMA.